Welcome all the viewers to the Palm YouTube channel, and we have as our guest Baylon, one of the leading sound engineers of Mumbai and of Bollywood especially. I'm glad to welcome Baylon as one of the winners of the largest amount of awards this year. And I take pleasure in, narrating the number of awards that he has won, and that is the award that IRAA is presenting to the winners in the 16th IRAA edition. And I'm happy to welcome him for this interview on winning such a large number of awards. So he has won Sound Designer for Hindi, Sound Designer for Regional, Dialogue Editor ADR Engineer for Regional, Sound Editor Effects and Ambience Hindi, Sound Editor Effects and Ambience Regional, Sound Designer for Documentaries, Documentary Mixing, Sync Sound Recording for House of Secrets, 11 Bodies. This is sync sound recording for documentaries and sync sound recording for web series. So we have 8 awards which have been won by one person, one sound engineer. And the reason for this special interview is because it speaks very, very highly of the level of expertise that Baylon brings to sound engineering per se, and especially for film soundtrack. As we have seen that the awards include sound designer, and it includes special effects, dialogues, editing, ADR, the whole gamut of engineering that goes into building a perfect soundtrack. As we all know that music is where it is in the scheme of things, and it's a soundtrack which makes a movie. It's a soundtrack which makes a documentary, and the soundtrack should be perfect as far as possible. There's Foley, there is a lot of background music, there is a lot of dialogues in a soundtrack, and there are special effects, there's sound. And if I dare say so, that Bollywood especially, not so much the films coming from Chennai and Hyderabad, but the films coming from Bombay, they have in the past been to a certain level negligent about the importance of soundtrack. And excellence, that is what IRAA is about, the Indian Recording Arts Academy. Our purpose is recognition of excellence in sound engineering. So it gives us special pride to have Baylon with us, and Baylon Fonseca, and he has been active in the Bollywood for years and years, and has won many awards in the past too. So I will I'm having the opportunity to question Baylon, and my first question to him. So Baylon, thank you very much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and it's amazing that you won 8 awards. It was a very trying moment for IRAA, and the assessment process and the final judgment about the selection for the award rests with the work, not with the person.
And yes.
So, I mean, of course, when one sound engineer wins 8 awards, the burning question is why? And we thought of, having this interview as content for Palm and for IRAA. So, Baylon, I would like to question you. I've got it written down. The particular expertise applied in your work, how is it inculcated in terms of knowledge and accretion in application of sound engineering in an artistic manner, which you have done over and over again for all these 8 submissions. So we would like you to share for all the other sound engineers as to how do you apply the expertise in your work, and how do you inculcate the expertise and the knowledge, and is there an accretion factor that is at play here because of what you've done, and is that the determining factor?
I think across all of the projects, what's fascinating for me is the overwhelming feeling of having won so many in one edition of the awards. Across the various disciplines, whether it is a feature film, Hindi or regional, whether it is a documentary, short film, you have to keep wearing different hats, because each of these genres have different requirements of you. Mimi, that won in sound design, is a film about a woman who is a surrogate mother. There itself, the content has meaning for me. June is about a young man and an older woman, both trying to come to terms with what life has in store for them. A problem we all contend with. House of Secrets is, I think, my going back to the basics and wondering whether I could do a documentary on my own as a sound recordist. No assistance, nothing, run and gun, no second take. And the opportunity to work with Leena Yadav and a film that I had ample amount of opportunity to research, be a part of that team. We always discussed, debriefed every day, and very small unit. I think that was one of the prerequisites. Not just me being an individual recordist, but also a small unit of 6 of us. And I immediately said yes. And this deals with a story that has no answers. 11 members of a family that committed suicide one single night. It all happened in one night.
Devastating.
Very, very. I mean, the most profound moment then while shooting was when we were at the forensics and you look at the original evidence, and it tells you how short life is and how unpredictable it is and how uncertain it is, even with all the education that we have, right? In a time and age when technology runs our lives, social media, I say today the degree of separation between us and the furthest part on this planet is but a millisecond, because I can converse with anybody on this planet today, right? It's so easy, unlike in our growing up years. Ghost stories is, I think, the only oddball out, but again, very difficult subject because it deals with horror and the kind of soundscape that I wanted to create. Now, each of these to me means something.
No, I appreciate the fact that you are very invested with the stories of each of the work you've done, and they are on top of your mind, and I'm getting the drift. So please carry on.
If you ask me this question on approach, it's a blank slate. I know I've worked with Nikhil Mahajan, who's the producer of June. I'm doing my 6th film with him now. The moment he places a film on my table, he says, yeah, you'll work your magic. Now, what people don't realize is that's a lot of pressure. It's not a given that because I've done some good work, I'm going to be able to do it again.
Amazing.
But the investment of the filmmaker to come back and believe that I can possibly pull it off, and his next film, Godavari, of course, it's my most amazing work of my career, and I'm so saddened by the fact that not a lot of people are going to watch it, because unlike the most cultish film of my life, which is Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, I know people are watching it over and over again because I get these missed calls, which is why you'll notice I never answer my phone. My number's in the film. By mistake, I completely forgot, and now it can't be removed out. So from as far as Nigeria, I know people are watching this film because at 2 in the morning my phone rings.
Yeah.
So since 2011, when the film released, my phone's just been on silent. Yeah. The filmmakers who I work with, and there are very few, many of them don't want to work with me again because I can be an arrogant nitwit. Wanting things to be very organized and systemized. I say I work within chaos, it's easy, but in a systematic manner. So, that's not very much appreciated. But well, I've grown too old to want to work in a chaotic manner. So when a film comes to me, it's almost like it's percolating through my system. I'm not thinking about it. I have no clue what the outcome will be. I don't know that it's going to shape up the way it is. So I'm going to tap into something that writers usually talk about in a small select group. When you write something and you fixed the idea, if it's not important to the plot, you're stuck with the idea. You can't change it.
Okay.
So having ideas are great, but being able to mold the idea as you move along the design, not from a director's point of view alone, but also from your own. Like if you fix an opinion, no, I want it like this only. It restricts your movement as a designer. It doesn't allow you the opportunity to experiment. Now that could be loosely translated as, okay, so you're indecisive about what you want. So I'm very clear about my end goal. I want it to sound a particular way. And my team is briefed based on that. So my dialogue editors know how I want the dialogue to be addressed. My effects editors know how my effects to be addressed. My ambience, the world to be addressed. My Foley team understands how the Foley is to be addressed. And my mix engineer is very clear how I want it all to come together. Am I spending more time? No. I am leaving myself very open to change. The teams are very clear, the focus points that they get. The end goal is very clear. And then the litmus is when the director comes in and they're hearing stuff and they come back with no sudden shocks like, oh, this is not working. That gives you a trajectory. So, of course, with House of Secrets, I'm not the sound designer. My focus was dialogue content, whatever was being spoken. There's no special lockup, there's nothing. You are shooting run and gun documentary. Even if you're sitting in a room and we're interviewing a police inspector, we can't shut down the police station. You're aware of that. So the premise there is to try and achieve the best possible dialogue. And I actually regret not being the dialogue editor on that one because I knew that would be the easiest job ever. When we talk of Big Day, which is a high-end festive wedding mood that's being created, right? The one thing with documentaries is everybody can't experience that world. So you take them through that world, through the eyes of the camera and the people who are on the camera. So lavish weddings in very exotic locations. Now, that's something I've never done. You don't have a second chance to take, and that was a huge documentary to put together as a supervising sound editor, designer, because we were shooting multiple locations back to back. We had, I think, 8 recording teams that had to be set up, and each of them didn't have any prep time. I didn't have any prep time.
But a very important subject because the whole world has come to know about the big fat Indian wedding and the location.
Exactly.
It is a very important subject today.
Exactly. I mean,
socially, financially, in every aspect.
It is huge, right? Because people come to India and they know these are the landmarks. It's like we don't unless you want to go to Dharavi and see Indian poverty, everything else is about the lavishness, right? And again, what fascinates me about documentary is there's no second take.
I see.
what fascinates me is how we were, and that particular project fascinates me no end in terms of the workflow that I created for it. I got on board 4 days before. They already shot one schedule, it went all haywire.
I see.
They weren't really happy, and not their fault. I think no one had actually focused on the sound logistics. And so we went into damage control. I remember it was, I think, the 17th or 18th of October that year, and we were shooting on 21st, and we created a team. So there, if there was ever a award for best logistics on sound, that is the one I should get, because one of the most critical things about editing documentary is dialogue. Now, how do we make sure that 12 units that are shooting dialogue at different points of time, different cities or a different country, is not going to overlap their file names? That was my only nightmare, and so we evolved a technique to make sure that every unit was uniquely identified, file namings were uniquely identified, and everything came through me and then went down. So when we got nominated and won a few for that show and for House of Secrets, I think I was over the world, you know, because those are huge mammoth projects that for me recognition means a lot.
Yeah.
But coming back to your question, I'm usually an empty slate. I don't I'm clear what I want to do. I know this is the end product I want, but I'm not fixed on opinion.
In terms of the creative soul of the sound that you're going to create, you mean?
Yeah.
You're clear about that end goal of the sound in terms of what color it has to have,
yes,
and what kind of abrasiveness or not, or whatever.
Yes.
So I'm not actually amazed that you have a very subjective approach to creating the sound, and you know exactly where to go with the you know, soul factor of the sound and how it should sound. What I wanted to know and ask you to share is, what are the recording expertises that you feel that are necessary to deliver such a soundtrack, apart from the experience factor? And I mean, I gather from your narration that there is a lot more than just the console and the mixing. There is a much higher level of supervision and management that goes into delivering a soundtrack, and that's a good point which everybody should know. So in terms of pure expertises in the engineering, what do you feel you can share?
Are you talking purely tech?
Tech.
Purely tech.
For this one.
You need to know what your equipment is, what it's capable of. If the common assumption is the more expensive, the better the output, well, it's partially true. I've sometimes recorded with my phone. Not all the time, but when COVID happened, we had to record some stuff off a phone and use it. And
GarageBand?
Not GarageBand, just off your phone. For example, actor, we desperately need a line to be dubbed. How do I get that quality of the line wherever the actor is? And many a times I get a line and I'll bounce it and say, no, this is not working, do it like this. I'm sure a lot of my colleagues have also had to, you know, circumnavigate this problem. So from the assumption that the best equipment will get you the best quality to the most cheapest of equipment give you the worst quality, I think it's about understanding the equipment, what it's capable, what it's capable of. Because of my many years with mixing and being a consultant while with Real Image for DTS, I was exposed to standardization and calibration, and that's the first thing I always look at. What's the standardization of anything that's inputting and outputting, so that I know my referencing is correct. The fact that we go to college and learn about microphones, we don't really understand why we are learning about it, right? And I'm not saying this blanket across the board. I'm saying, yes, many of us understand it over time. We understand, or through the mentors that we have, or the peers that we work with, we get to learn what the microphone's really doing. In my case, I am more focused on the location microphones. So if you ask me what's the best set of microphones to use for a live band recording, I might no longer know. Correct? Because it's not my business to know it. If I need to know it, I know I have the information available to seek out. Okay. So understanding the specific microphones, what they're doing on a location, why do I choose a particular microphone? Many a times I get asked, what capsule do you use when labeling an actor? There is the standard set of capsules. You answer the question, everybody is, oh great. But there are a lot of variations to it. There are many other capsules out there. Why would I pick a particular capsule for a particular actor on a particular day?
Right.
And then maintain the consistency right through a 80-day shoot or a 100-day shoot. It's very important. So the technical comes also with the logistical planning. Now you do a film like Dil Dharakne Do, where you have 23 actors, of which almost 11 are principal actors, of which 6 are primary key actors. You want a consistency across the whole thing when you're recording your location sound.
Right.
You have to plan. So it's like a cross matrix of, take an Excel sheet in your cross matrix, making sure that mics never change.
Right.
Capsules are fixed. Now, capsule might go bad.
Right.
What do you do then? Electronics has its own way of working. Now, I realize now, 2023, and especially over my last 3 years of working with international companies,
right,
Source Elements and Deluxe, not being a film student from a film school, I seem to think I required a lot of validation of my knowledge. And then I discovered, I think that's an inferiority of sorts. And I discovered through these 3 years that I know what I know. There's no test that can be applied to me to validate, because my fundamentals were very good. My fundamentals were very good because whenever I started and with whoever I started, I paid a lot of attention.
Right.
And I still pay a lot of attention.
Right.
If we are filming right now, it's but second nature to know what the person behind the camera wants.
Right.
Correct? It's not about, I'm hoping it's not about me invading somebody else's world,
right,
but staying 2 steps ahead of the curve. So technical is not merely technical, it's staying 2 steps ahead of the curve, because I have come through the era of analog to digital film, to what we are today. We are on the cusp of AI and its uses, augmented and virtual reality and its uses,
immersive.
How it integrates, how it makes our world more immersive, right?
Yes.
So when your fundamentals of the tech, whether it is to do with the recorders, whether it is to do with any kind of microphone that you're using, and most mistakes have lent to itself to better learning. It's not like I've been flawless. I've made lots of mistakes. No one's caught it because only I know them. Right. It's also learning through collaboration.
Right.
With other people, not just in India, but also with people across the world.
Yeah.
It's about not being scared to ask the question. And many times you ask the question and it makes people angry, or it makes people laugh at you. And I think I'd rather they laugh.
Yes.
But I'd know better, because I could be making a wrong decision. When I'm working with younger talent today, and I'm much older, been 30 years in the business, so I'm definitely an archaic piece of furniture now.
Right.
But when I'm working with younger talent, I'm always of the opinion ki don't be scared to ask a question, and don't be scared to tell me I'm wrong. I could be making a mistake.
Right, sure, of course.
So many a times their good work helps me win these awards. It's not me alone.
Yeah, but I sincerely feel that your greatest work is yet to come. And because it's at the level of maturity at this point in time that you will go forward in delivering even more important
Thank you.
work. Yeah. So we recognize talent and in India with IRAA awards, and the purpose is very altruistic, if I may use the word. We really want the entire community of Indian sound engineers to excel in their work, and as you said, to pay attention, learn more, collaborate, and increase their knowledge of fundamentals and all of those factors. So you feel that, to go back to my question about the expertise, you feel fundamentals are very important.
Yeah, I think today...
And standards are very important.
Yeah. I think today the good thing I'd say is, no matter what shortcuts we take, the quality of our work has largely improved.
Yes.
When I'm asked clinically, what do you think is a scope for improvement? I think it's mostly philosophical in terms of patience. Don't be quick to use a software to correct something that you're hearing. Is that a problem? No. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a set of good work, and there's another 99% of other work that's also good, right? When we look under the hood is when we start to notice, oh, acha, this was, oh, this is, I'm not saying right or wrong, but no, but this is not how it should have been. You could have done it like this. That's under the hood. But when you're seeing it on screen, if it works, and it works. I mean, that's why different strokes for different folks, right? There's always going to be enough of work to go around. Regimental, I may be about the approach, because I'm old school, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. I was taught that there is no shortcut, there is no quick fix. And I think I learned from my own lessons that the day I thought I wanted to do something quicker, I spent double the time. So very early on, it was the long cut for me, always. What changes is, today I can do things 3 times faster, not in terms of speed, but just in terms of the experience, the expertise that's there.
There is a accretion value.
There is a huge
accretion value. Huge. I see. It's huge.
It's huge. I mean, again, not to discredit what an assistant may be doing. And when I say assistant, I'm using the word assistant, but somebody with, let's say, 5 years of experience.
Right.
Correct? And what I am doing, it's like, if we were to litmus test it and say, let's see who's faster, correct? Again, faster is not about how fast I can do it, how precise it can be as an outcome that is good.
Right.
Again, precise is a bad word to use, in my opinion.
Yes. Oh.
What's superb, whatever be that, what could be the way these sound, right?
Right.
And so when you test it against that kind of a litmus check,
right,
you end up realizing that your decision making is much faster than what someone else is who's got 5 years experience.
Right.
That experience comes from having not taken those shortcuts, because you know what your fundamentals are. You know when you're hearing a frequency that the problem is precisely here. Or for example, I remember walking into, when Dolby Atmos was very new, I walked into a mix studio. The first time I was doing an Atmos mix for OTT, I heard what we had done at my studio, and I turned around and said to the engineer, all sounding good, I think the calibration's off 2 dB. He turned to me and said, no, but we just calibrated, which is not right or wrong, it's great. They had just calibrated. I said, can you turn up the level 2 dB? He turned up. I said, yeah, this is my level. He looked at me and said, okay, so we'll check. And I did get a call back 2 days later. It was a Saturday. I think Sunday they did the check. And I got a call back on Monday saying it was 1.9 dB off. For whatever reason, that experience is what I'm talking about. Amazing. Which is not the speed, or it's just, thankfully my hearing is still intact.
Right.
The ability to hear and know this is what it is. So when you talk of tech, it's about knowing everything that's under the hood.
Right.
And how you can apply it. It's just not a piece of equipment that's got a very high-end XYZ.
Reputation.
So the example I'll sign off saying is, you can give me Lewis Hamilton's car, or in this case, Max's car, Verstappen's. That doesn't make me the world champion.
No, that will not guarantee that you'll win the race. Yeah.
Not at all.
Not the car.
I need to know the science behind how the mechanics and the science of how this machine operates. That's what makes them the world champion, right? So you need to know what's under the hood, not just how to change gears and accelerate or turn a curb.
Right. Thank you, Baylon, for your explanations about the core factor that goes into doing excellent work, being standards and calibration and following the old school in terms of diligence in regard to the equipment. And your advice is for the sound engineers to know for sure for themselves that they have the fundamentals correct, and to follow a rigorous path of disciplined and regimented way of working in getting the sound, and that will help them. So that's good. And I just have one question about recording as an art. What do you feel about this particular factor that we have built into IRAA? It's Indian Recording Arts Academy Awards, and the moment of epiphany which created while creating the IRAA Awards was to, of course, it's an engineering award, it's so to speak technical award, if you may, but at the core of it, the idea was to take the ultimate final master, final recording, and treat that as a work of art.
Yeah.
What do you feel about that?
So first and foremost, IRAA is the only Indian awards that recognizes sound talent.
Okay.
I know it started with music as its primary focus, and as it progressed through the years, it inculcated sound design, and then of course expanded its horizons to add a lot more categories. Not to quote other awards, but internationally and India, this is among the only 2 awards that recognizes sound across the board, and the other being the Golden Reel Awards, which we've spoken about many times.
Yes.
When we talk about sound, and with the given trends of many people not paying attention to sound, correct? That's been going on for, in my opinion, since film had sound, which is 1927. I often say, when we talk about film and film sound, or any media and sound, we call it the audiovisual media. We never call it the visual audio media.
Right. Audio is first, yeah.
So it's usually a battle for any sound engineer, and I'm using the word sound engineer, right from the lowest of the echelons all the way to the top, to get recognition. Many a times there'll be a popular award that leaves out the sound design category to focus on music. What is this area of sound, and how is it captured in a film? That's where IRAA, in its 16th year as of last year, focuses, and it's proud to have someone so focused on that area of multidisciplines in the sound, whether it's to do with, I know the amount of expanse. So IRAA is one of the most, I forgot what I said earlier. I'll say it again. With IRAA, the focus has been multidisciplinary. It's not only focused on music, but also focused on the various areas of sound in film media, OTT, documentary, short film, but also added to podcast as of.
Yes.
Yeah? Now, why this is relevant to me is, like I said, many popular awards sometimes just leave out the sound category. it's just not there. And
Right.
the battle to include it in just not sound design, but also the various areas of sound design, the re-recording, mixing. Of course, is it all about TRP is something that I will take to my grave and wonder. So the relevance of the IRAA is huge, and especially having spent a better of 2 decades now. I mean, you're 3 years short of 2.
Right.
It's very important to be recognized by somebody within your own fraternity.
Right.
And that's what is very important.
It's a key factor, yeah.
That's the key factor.
Right. I agree. So, I mean, the thing is that do you feel it's an art?
Very much so.
It's an art, right?
I'm an artist without doubt. I am a painter. I am somebody who's constructing something that has a blank canvas. Like I said earlier, my thoughts are empty. It's an empty canvas. I am building from the scratch. I am taking actors' voices and bringing them alive on a screen. If the actor sounds bad, it's entirely my fault. If I experiment with a voice and it goes bad, it's completely my fault. Because while an audience doesn't know what the sound editor or designer is doing, he comes to watch an actor, but we know of a film where they experimented with the voice and it just didn't work because they couldn't identify with the actor. So you are taking and shaping. And many a times we are creating sound from nothing.
Right.
Okay.
So I love that answer, and I love the fact that Baylon has said that he's a painter. So I would like to say that yes, sound recording is an art. You're painting sound. So the sound engineers are literally painting sound from a blank canvas. And they have tough decisions to make in regard to how they record and what they record. So it is definitely an art, and I take this with me from Baylon to close this interview. And thank you once more for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the 8 awards you have to carry back home. And thank you. Thank you very much. From IRAA and from PALM.